everybody. Welcome to another episode here on the K2 podcast, another Monday. This is our fifth episode, so it's 5 weeks in a row. So I want to appreciate everybody for tuning in. So got a really special episode for you guys lined up tonight. We have a wonderful woman on. Her name's Lizzie Anderson, and she's a fitness coach, dog mom. She works a full-time job, so quite a busy lady, and believe it or not, she's going to be joining us tonight, and it's really late for her. So I'm really appreciative that she would be joining us. Just want to say thank you, Lizzie, for being here. And why don't you tell everybody where you're from and a little bit about yourself, just a little background.
Hi guys, so I am currently sitting here at 12 o'clock at night in the UK, having been on lockdown from coronavirus for 2 weeks now, so going a little bit stir crazy. So I use my Instagram to sort of promote my online coaching business, but also to just go to give tips and tricks to people about fitness and mainly how to juggle it alongside quite a busy life, like a busy 9 to 5, and having various other things going on. Because I think it's really easy for a lot of people that are maybe personal trainers or at uni to be like to balance a lot of things, but realistically if you're trying to balance it alongside a 9 to 5, it's a completely different world.
Certainly. No, yeah, it is. And that you mentioned being locked down. It's crazy that you say that because as I spoke with you earlier today, and shortly after I had spoke with you, our governor of our state here in Virginia did a complete lockdown of everything. So they've took out everything, shut everything down, and
Yeah.
so I'm there with you. I definitely feel your pain, so to speak. So with all the stuff that you got going on, I know that we've spoken in the past. You said you try to maintain a social life. You have a pet, doing your fitness coach, you're managing your Instagram page, and so how do you think that you find all the time to do these things and manage your time to even stay in shape or get into the gym when you're not on lockdown?
I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a lot of hours, and there are things you have to sacrifice. My main tip with for anyone that wants to start sort of building fitness into their life that has a busy life is honestly just preparation and planning. I love a list. I'm a complete planner. My other half takes a nick at me all the time for it. He's like, "Oh, do you want to write a list about this?" Um, but you do have to do it. So I basically every weekend, every Sunday, I will food prep my food for the week. So that's something I don't have to think about. So that sticking to a meal plan's not a big thing because I just grab my food out of the fridge
Hmm.
and cook it. And the only meal I don't prep is dinner because it's nice to kind of be able to cook sometimes rather than just eat out
Sure.
of Tupperware. um, and I also just plan out my week and just make sure everything like my training and things like working on my business is all stuff that I factor in as sort of non-negotiables. So they're time I set aside for myself that I can't make an excuse to get out of, so that I know that that time sort of blocked away and is safe. And then if I am going to be making social plans, they all have to, not always, but most of the time I'll try and make sure they work around it. So if I'm going for dinner, I'll arrange it for say 7 so that I can go to the gym after work, get ready at the gym and then go to dinner. So it's just sort of little tweaks that you have to, and it takes time and it takes sort of advice. I mean, I have an online coach. I have had personal trainers. I've had people helping me to learn how to do this.
Right.
But it's just a case of sort of planning, working it out, and prioritizing. But also at the same time, you can't be too hard on yourself because like you work a 9 to 5, possibly even more than that.
Sure.
It's busy. It's stressful. Like you're not always going to want to go to the gym after work, and sometimes it's okay to be like, well, I'll move my sessions around, I'll be flexible. But at the same time, it's about kind of building the habit over motivation, because you're not always going to be motivated to go to the gym. In fact, the majority of the time I'm not motivated to go to the gym at all.
Right.
But it's getting yourself there and then doing it and then being like, okay, well, I've done it.
I
So I
think
feel
I think you bring up
grateful.
a good point though. Is like I've noticed with a lot of things, whether it's going to the gym or any particular task that you do. I think 90, maybe you'll have a different take, but I think 90% of it is just showing up. Like just get the
Yeah,
ball rolling, just show up, and then kind of you'll notice that stuff afterwards tends to fall in place and gets the ball rolling. So I think
yeah.
like you bring up a good point by saying just getting there. It really helps out a lot. I believe that.
The first step to anything, I mean, especially your fitness journey, is just stepping foot in the gym. If you step a foot in the gym and you do go on one bit of equipment for the first time you've ever been to the gym,
Right.
you've still done it. You've still got in there. You've still done that exercise. And then from there, you can build on that. But if you don't start, you can never build on it.
Certainly. No, I totally agree. And so, what do you say to somebody like maybe the first time that somebody's getting into the gym? Like, this is their first go at it. They're a little bit nervous or they have some anxiety about getting into the gym. What would you say to that person? How do you think they could overcome that obstacle?
So, my first thing I would say is it's completely normal. Everyone gets it. Even I, like, if I have a period of training, I still get a bit like, oh, don't know, don't really want to step foot in there. And especially if you're a female going into train weights, it can be extremely daunting, especially
Mm-hmm.
if it's quite a male dominant gym, because nothing against guys, but there are a lot of guys when you go in the gym, they like to stare. They can't just focus on their own
Yeah,
workout.
I
Give
could,
me
I
the
could
weight
probably. You're probably
section.
right. I could see that.
Um, so my first thing I'd say is don't feel like you're abnormal. Don't feel like there's something wrong with you because it's completely normal.
Mm-hmm.
My sort of top three tips that I always give sort of gym anxiety and feeling a bit nervous going in is number one, a pair of headphones. Set up a playlist that's going to keep you motivated, so you can get in
Yeah,
there, put your
gotta have the
headphones in.
music. Gotta have the tunes.
Yeah, just but if you drown out everything around you, it won't bother you as much. Like if you're focusing on your workout with your music, and you're not going to notice if like Fred over there is having a look at you or whatever.
That's true too. It passes the time too. You won't even realize how much work you've put in if you're listening to music and stuff. The time tends to go by. Next thing you'll know, you're like, wow, I've been at it for an hour now. I didn't even realize it.
Exactly.
Do you have a particular song that's on your what's your go-to workout song?
So I'm probably not the best person to ask this because my two go-to playlists in the gym are 90s, like 90s pop.
That's
Pop.
good. No, that's a good choice. I think no people don't give the '90s pop enough credit. That's a good choice.
And then if I'm having a really bad day, Disney music.
I mean, okay, not my take, but I'm sure there's some people that could relate to that. So, I know that I've spoke with you in the past, and we're talking about a little bit about anxiety with getting into the gym. So have you dealt with anxiety personally, or is there anything that you can connect with on that? Is there any way that you relate to someone who may be dealing with some anxiety issues, whether it's getting into the gym or just in their personal life from day to day activities?
Yeah, so I deal with anxiety, full stop. It kind of came on. I think it was when I started working full time. Although I think it's always been there a little bit, and it's been a journey. It's taken me a long time to work out what triggers me and
Mm-hmm.
what doesn't help me and what does help me. And actually, once I got past the anxiety of being in the gym, one of the biggest things that helped me was getting in the gym
Mm-hmm.
and was having that just hour and a half to myself each day where I could just switch off from the world, do my workout, and just release some of the stress from my day. Because I
Sure.
found that when the stress built up, that's when the anxiety started kind of really kicking in.
Right.
Um, but it's the thing with it is everyone's different. I think if you are struggling with anxious thoughts and with anxiety, it's important to take time to look at yourself, look at what's triggering it, and work out ways to deal with that because there's not one answer for it. And obviously, if it is the point it is bad, I'd always recommend getting some help, seeing someone, or just talking it out with someone. But I think a lot can be done just sitting down and being like, okay, how can I manage my day to reduce it as best I can? Because I mean, now we're on lockdown, especially.
Right.
I really struggled at the beginning because obviously I couldn't go to the gym. You can't really go out all
Right.
that much, and I just couldn't get out my workspace. So I've tried to put in like a solid routine in the mornings, especially of doing some yoga, doing a bit of sort of journaling to help get my thoughts out for the day, and making sure I'm taking like long walks with the dog and stuff to reduce it. So I think there's what you just need to learn yourself and learn how you react and how to deal with it.
That makes sense. And, I noticed, like, I have a dog as well. So we kind of, we both, I think, can understand how, some, dogs, certain dogs, I guess they require a lot of attention and things. But what I'm getting at is, when it comes to anxiety, I noticed that my dog, he even has anxiety, and I've dealt with my own personal anxiety issues as well. But my dog, sometimes I can see that he has some anxiety and nervousness. And when just simple, it's just funny to see how exercise, whether you're a dog or you're a human or whatever, the benefits that it has. Because I take my dog, I'll run him, and we'll go running around the block a few times, and he's instantly just happy. You can kind of just see the weight lift off his shoulders, and he's just much more uplifted. And it helps me as well, because like you said, I work, I do a podcast on the side and things for fun, but also I have a full-time job. I have a 2-year-old daughter, so I can I get stressed and anxiety as well, and it just working out and stuff like that really does have a significant benefit. So leading into the next part here, you mentioned that you've competed in the past and that you were looking to get into competing. Tell me a little bit about that, and what does that entail exactly? Because I'm not so, like, when someone says they compete, in fitness, I'm not really sure what to make of it or what that means exactly. So tell me a little bit about it.
So I think it means that I'm a little bit crazy. So I have a weird thing that every few years I like to set a very big, unseemingly unachievable goal, fitness wise. My last one was a sprint triathlon, and then the other year I've thought about sort of competing in a bodybuilding competition in the bikini category for quite a while, and I just decided to do it basically. So basically, there's different categories within bodybuilding competitions. The one that I entered is the bikini competition. So you essentially are going to get up on a stage in a sparkly bikini and a pair of heels.
That seems like that would be kind of I don't know. I think, I mean, I'm a man, so it's a little different, but if I had to put myself in your shoes, I don't know if I'd have the cojones or the balls to get up there and do it.
Well, that's exactly why I did it. Because
really?
I didn't think I'd have the confidence to do it. And I was like, I want to see really if I can do it. I didn't think, because obviously for it, you have to do a very strict diet. So I was dieting. I ended up being 6 months I was dieting for. It was meant to be 4, but then my body just didn't react how we thought. So I ended up being in a diet of, at the end, I think the last 2 months, I was around 1,000 calories a day I was eating, and I was expending over 2,000.
Wow.
So it's not for the faint-hearted. But I was just wanting to see if I had the confidence to actually step out onto the stage. And there was a point where I didn't think I would, to be honest. I was stood backstage and everything was shaking. I was like, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I think that was what I wanted to do it for, was just to see if I actually had the confidence to just even get out there. And that was my only aim with it. I know a lot of people came off and got quite downhearted because they didn't place,
right?
Because I didn't come in the top 3 either. But I was just so proud of myself that I'd actually got out there and done it, because that was the biggest thing for me, was just making it to the stage and actually having the balls to get out on the stage.
Yeah, no kidding. I find that really inspiring, though, because just hearing you talk about it, because I genuinely don't know if I would have the guts to do it. And to hear you say that did it just to face your fears, I mean, that says a lot about you. But also, I think it gives other people hope, or things that, like, if you could do it, or if I could do it, it just says, hey, anybody can do this. And it kind of gives people a little bit of hope to that they can achieve what they wanted to do, and just like face your fear head on, like just go full on doing it. And I think that's one, I forget where the quote is, but I always heard this saying that whatever your fears are is what you should probably go for or attack. And like that's what you should be doing. So I don't know, I think it's really cool that you did that.
I think, well, my view of it is the worst that can happen is you're going to fail.
That's true.
You're going to learn something.
And I
So
think people do.
until you
I don't
take
mean to
that
cut you
step
off,
nine,
but I think you're right though. Like people, I tend to make it a bigger deal in their head than it's actually going to be.
yeah, yeah, completely. And I used to be one of the people, and I'm still that person at
Sure,
times.
me too.
But it's trying to push yourself past that. That's going to help you sort of learn more about yourself and learn more about what you're capable of, and like help you grow,
Hmm.
rather than just staying knowing sticking with what you're safe with and what you know. It's not going to help you grow as a person. It's not going to help you grow skills or attributes that you want to kind of improve on.
Right. And so, how does a judge determine who's gonna be the contestants that place? Like, like how do they say like who's the bulkiest or the most toned? Like how do they determine, how do you know what to work on so that you could potentially place in that kind of competition?
So it varies between categories. I won't. There's so many categories; it's ridiculous. So I won't go into all of them. But the one that I competed in bikini, the bikini class, they're basically looking for an hourglass figure with sort of evenly proportioned hips and shoulders, but some sort of well-developed glutes. And basically, what they're going to look for is your presentation, so how good your posing is. Um, Little things like if your tan's not gone dodgy, or if your bikini color suits you, your hair color, if that comes
Wow.
out, your jewelry. And then you get points for your stage presence. So obviously, if you go on there really timid and unconfident, you're going to get marked down. And then in terms of what they want to look for bikini anyway, sort of body wise,
Uh-huh.
they don't like you to be too muscular. They don't want like extreme muscle definition, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't want you to be so like so low body fat that you can see every bone basically.
Mm-hmm.
um but they like you to be sort of very symmetrical and have a good sort of balance of muscle. But I think that's what you've got to think and sort of consider, as I guess as a point if you are looking to compete,
Mm-hmm.
is that it's subjective. There's no you've got to tick this box, you've got to tick that box. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely down to what the judges want and what the judge is looking for on that day. So
Interesting.
you can look as good as you've ever looked, but if the judges aren't looking for that, you're not going to win. So I think as much as you could go to compete in wanting to win, and you've got to have that mindset, I think you've also got to have it in the back of your mind that you might just not be what the judge is looking for on the day. It
Huh.
might be nothing to do with the work you've put in. It might just be that you're not what they're looking for. And I think if you don't remember that, it can be quite hard to compete in, because you do take it personally and you're like, well,
Yeah.
what have I done wrong? And it might not be anything you've done wrong. It might just be you weren't their cup of tea, basically.
That's interesting. Now, let me ask you, this is something, just hearing you talk about that. Do you think that that type of judging system it could be problematic? Do you ever find yourself like, because I've when you tell me how, when you're explaining it to me, my first initial thought is that's a rigged contest. Do you ever get that kind of feeling, or do you think that do you like do are you is it pretty clear what's expected of you, or do you feel like it's not? Because I feel like that kind of setup makes it to where they can kind of pick favorites, so to speak. Do you ever feel that way, or no?
I think there is possibility for that, because as well, there within the bodybuilding sort of community, there's so many different federations. So they're basically different organizations that run different shows, and they're all looking for a different thing.
Uh-huh.
And I have known girls to go into a federation thinking they're going to be looking for one thing. Everyone telling them they like girls with not aren't too skinny. They like girls with really built glutes, X, Y, and Z. And then it's completely the opposite that the judge is looking for. So I think there isn't not an issue with the subjective judging, but I think it opens itself to potential bias. But you just have to hope that the sort of organisation, which you would hope that the organisations have it in check and they not allowing that to creep in.
Right. So I mean, I guess that makes sense when you put it that way. So when is there like what is I guess what's the kind of science behind it all? Like it sounds like it, like you said, it may not. I don't even know if science is the right word, because like you said, it may not even be something that you can control. It may just not be what the judges are looking for. But is there any way that the science of it all can relate to the competition aspect, or is it solely science is just if you wanted to get healthy and get fit for personal reasons, or are they all interconnected as one, if that makes sense?
I think, I mean, personally, I wouldn't ever say that competing is a way to get skinny and fit and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just as a point there, because it can be very damaging mentally,
Sure.
especially with your relationship with food. I really struggled actually post show. I have a history of having a bit of a binge eating disorder,
Mm-hmm.
and when I came out of my show, it was ruined. I couldn't stop eating, and it was all bad food. And I, to the point, I gave myself sugar headaches, and I'd like eat till I was full and so bloated, but I'd still carry on eating, even though I wasn't hungry, but my
Mm-hmm.
body just couldn't stop. Um, but I think, yeah, I think, I mean, science wise, obviously the main, as the basis of competing is you want to basically be in a calorie deficit for as long as possible,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to do it in a way that you don't lose too much muscle. So it's quite a fine science in that you need to slowly drop your calories rather than suddenly drop them. But at the same time, you also need to use cardio, but you've got to use less, so low intensity cardio instead of high intensity cardio, because high intensity cardio burns more muscle than low intensity cardio.
Right.
So it's very, I think the thing that actually sort of drew me to competing was there is actually such an intricate science behind it that you don't even think about,
Mm-hmm.
because there's the element of the losing weight up until show day. And then when you get into your peak week, you have to bring in the element of how is water affecting your weight? How is sweetness affecting your weight? How is your, like, if you're having a varied diet, is that affecting your weight? Are there vegetables that are causing you to bloat? And there's so many sort of different elements you have to then consider. It's quite interesting,
Yeah.
but it is hard.
I was gonna say that's was exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. I was like, that seems like a lot. So you're giving me a whole new like respect for not only the competition aspect, but just the mental strength and the personal goals that you seem to have overcome with doing it all. So like, I don't know, I commend you for that, because I've got to be honest. I'm a guy. I'd like health and fitness, and it's something that I don't know I could keep up with you. I think, I mean, it sounds like you really doing a great job with it all. So just to backtrack a little bit here, and I won't take up too much more time of you this evening, but just to backtrack a little bit, when it comes to meal prepping, that's something I've always been interested in. What are some tips surrounding that? Like, what can you say to like really get involved in the meal prepping? Because I always feel I don't know what it is, and I love the idea of it. I'm like, dude, that's what I need to be doing, but I never seem to get around to it, or I always like go for convenience, and like I just do something quick and easy and don't even think about it. And I don't know, like, what can you say to that? Is there anything that you can kind of give any tips for or anything?
So I think of it in terms of, you've mentioned convenience and quick and easy.
Yeah,
And as much as you've got to set aside time to do the food prepping, once you've done it, that's your quick and easy, convenient food, bish bash bosh.
true.
Stick it in the microwave for a minute and it's done, and you're ready to go. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you've prepped. Um, so personally, I plan my meals. I'll be honest, you kind of have to be on board with eating the same thing quite a lot, because it's easier to batch
Right.
food rather than sort of make three different meals a day for 5 days a week. That's going to take you forever. So I think in a way you have to be all right with maybe eating the same lunch 3 days a week, the same lunch 2 days a week, and the same sort of breakfasts. But I personally plan my meals for the week on a Friday evening. It takes me about 15-20 minutes just to quickly jot down what am I going to have. Then I'll food shop for it on Saturday, although I'm not allowed to food shop at the moment, but okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then on a Sunday, I'll set aside just an hour, maybe sometimes an hour and a half, depending how much I'm making. And I'll just make sort of, my tip would be to make batch meals. So things like a lot of casseroles or risottos or sort of pasta dishes. They're all quite good to do sort of three portions at a time,
Mm-hmm.
quite quick and easy. And they're also ones which you can kind of do while doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I think it's a habit to get into. It's not a habit that I think everyone finds easy. And I know a lot of people go to me, is that not boring? Is that not time consuming? But like I say, my opinion with it is if you spend an hour to an hour and a half prepping on that Sunday,
Uh-huh.
you then when in the week, if you get home from work and you're tired, or you're at work and you think, oh, I could just go out and grab a sandwich from
That's what I always
the
do. That's what
pastry
I
one.
always do. I'm terrible at it. I need to stop. So you're giving me some good
I used
insight
to be
here.
terrible at it, but I got into the habit because then, like you say, what you can do rather than thinking, "Oh, that's quick and easy," all you've got to do is stick a Tupperware in the microwave for 2 minutes at most, and your lunch is ready.
Right. So I got see.
So,
I think that's what it boils down to is just the habit of getting into it. I think that's almost anything in life, just getting into the habit of it. So I'm glad you brought that up because I'm gonna try. Do you have like a whole like Tupperware set or something that you bought? Like, do you just like just this whole yeah?
I think I have about four.
Okay, that's funny. So
I don't even think I have one. I think I have about four.
yeah, that's how you. So, is there any? So, I guess another thing that I want to ask, like, is you say that you kind of have to make, or you typically make a lot of the same things when you. How long does that stuff keep for? Like, how long do you meal prep for? Just a couple of days, a whole week? How do you typically go about that?
So I'm not sure this is in keeping with public health guidelines, but I
Sure.
actually I meal prep for the whole week,
Uh
and
huh.
I have been meal prepping for the whole week for 2, 3 years, and I've never had any issues. Worst comes to worst, if you're genuinely worried about it, what I would do would be make something that can be frozen
Uh huh.
and then freeze a couple of portions, and you can just defrost that portion over like the night before and have it ready in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I meal prep chicken for a week, and my other half goes, "You're not going to eat that, are you?" I haven't died yet.
And what day do you meal prep? Like on a Sunday for that week, or
Yeah.
okay, so you do it on a Sunday. One of the gentlemen in the chat there said, "Is there a specific day that you do it for?" And then also a couple people in the chat are making fun of me, saying that you need to show me how to do a push up because I'm looking scrawny. They're
I mean,
giving me a hard time.
I do sissy push-ups, so I can't really talk. But
That's funny. Well, so moving on a little bit, is there any kind of other tips? You talked a lot about I think you've given a lot of insight, and especially as far as confidence boosting. Like hearing you talk about how you got on the stage for the first time because you were scared to get on the stage. I think that's awesome. But what is there any other tips that really come to your mind, or something that's really helped you, as you got into this and like on your journey? What kind of tips would you say?
so I think it depends what stage of your journey you're at. I think if you're a beginner, the biggest thing is to just start.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it can be really easy as a beginner to be like, oh, I don't have time. Oh,
Right.
I can't fit it in. I can't afford to meal prep healthy food because it's more expensive and actually it's cheaper to buy the healthy food. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
worried about getting in the gym. And all of that is completely valid. But I think if you do genuinely want to start on a fitness journey, you will just work it in. And I think the biggest thing you can do is, like I said, is to just get started. If you're genuinely that worried, recruit help. There's nothing wrong with getting an online coach or a personal trainer if you want someone in person for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like I say, the biggest thing with beginners is just getting started. And I guess having recruiting help to help you work out how you can fit it into your lifestyle in a way that's not going to mean that you're going to do it for 2 weeks and you'll be so tired that you're not going to do it anymore. Or
Right.
you're going to diet so hard in the first 2 weeks that you're then going to absolutely break and eat the whole of the Sainsbury's chocolate aisle. Because I've been there, I've
Mm-hmm.
done that. It happens. um, so I think my biggest tip is to change things, but in small, sustainable ways. So incorporating things into your daily routine that you're going to be able to sort of factor in. So even the simplest of things, the first thing you could do is increasing your steps
Right.
from 10,000
Do you
steps
have
a
a
day.
Fitbit on your wrist? I think I saw you wearing a Fitbit.
I
Yeah, I
do.
think I
I live
saw that.
by my
So
Fitbit.
that's a great tool, I'm guessing, to track your
Yeah.
steps or something like that. So you must use that often. I don't have one, but I've been meaning to get one, but I've just been really I've been slacking, but you've given me I'm kind of pumped up after talking to you. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but I'm like I'm ready to go. Like you got me fired up a little bit. Like I'm ready to go to the Walmart, but I don't even think I can because I think we're on lockdown. Yeah, I can't do nothing. So speaking of the lockdown, what do you say to the people right now that can't get into the gym and can't work out? How would you like? I mean, are you just suggesting maybe take walks around the neighborhood by yourself, or if you have a pet, take them for a walk, or do you find a place in your home? How would you go about that?
So the first thing I would say is I think on Instagram recently, and I've actually put this a little bit in a post for Wednesday, there's been sort of a massive influx of home workouts, which is great. And
Mm-hmm.
it's great that people are putting out free content there.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing I'd want to say to someone is do not stress if you don't feel like working out,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone in their lifetime thought that they'd be locked in their house for however long. I definitely, at the age of 26, didn't think I'd be shut in my house for the next
Sure.
3 weeks.
I don't think anybody
So,
anticipated this. It's really
no.
bizarre.
Oh, God. So, like, it is completely normal. You are going to probably feel unmotivated to
Mm-hmm.
eat well, to move. But the most important thing is just activity,
Mm-hmm.
whether that is in the form of walks, whether you want to do, whether you've got something like Insanity. Me and my other half decided to start Insanity alongside my weight workouts today,
Uh-huh.
and I now can't walk. So yeah, that's an interesting one. But so for example, if you've got some dumbbells at home, then there's sort of I put content up as well as dumbbell only workouts that
Uh-huh.
you can do at home. I'm quite lucky. I've got dumbbells, I've got a barbell, I've got bands. So my actual setup isn't much different from what I have in the gym anyway,
Uh-huh.
and I can work around it. But I just think, just with everything going on, I think you try and get your activity levels up, like you say. At the minimum, trying for 10,000 steps a day, and like just get moving.
So the
But
minimum
also,
steps is 10,000.
I'd say that's what I aim for.
Okay, that's
And I
good to
think if you
know.
don't do anything else, that's quite a good target
Do you know what
to have.
that relates to in miles by chance, or no? I don't know personally. I wonder
I
what it
think it
would
depends
be.
how big your steps are.
That's true too. That's true too. Okay, well, no, that's interesting. And you know the common theme that I'm seeing by you talking about everything thus far. There's two things that I've taken away from this. The first thing is to just start it, like just show
Yeah.
up, like just show up. I think that's like something that if you're thinking about what can I take away from this conversation, I think the first thing would be to get started and just show up. And then
And
the
don't be afraid
sec
to ask for help.
and I'm sorry, say again.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
That's a
Because
very
I
good
know when,
point. And the second thing that I've noticed is habit. Like a lot of it is just like once you
yeah,
show up, then just continue that process. Just keep showing up and keep building that habit. And
yeah,
also Angela in the chat says that 10,000 steps averages about 5,000 miles. Excuse me, 5 miles. 10,000 steps is 5 miles. So that's pretty cool. That's a fun fact. I definitely say thank you for being on the show. But before we go, I do want to ask, how can people find you on Instagram, or is there other? How would you like if people wanted more information or wanted to, talk to you about recruiting you as being their fitness coach? How could they go about doing that?
yeah. So the best way to get me is on my Instagram, at Lizzie. Wait, I've got my own Instagram handle
I
now.
think it's lift underscore with
That's the one.
underscore Lizzie.
Yeah, and on my page you'll find sort of various tips and tricks, workouts. I just try and really offer as much information to help other people based on my own experiences as I can. And I just try and provide sort of content that's going to be valuable to people that either trying to balance it alongside a 9 to 5 or working, coming in as beginners.
Mm-hmm.
And on there, if you do want to contact me about my services, you can just drop me a message, and I'll open that and contact with you, and we can set up a call, have a chat, and see if we'll be a good fit. Because that's the one thing I say with online coaching is it can be very easy for people to be like, come with me, I'll be your online coach to
Sure.
anyone. But it's it needs to be the right relationship. You need to be able to feel like you can be honest with the person, like you can talk to them about things, because if someone's going to come in and check in with you and say, I was perfect this week, but then they weren't, and realistically they hadn't done their workouts and they hadn't eaten their food,
Right.
they're not going to get progress. They're not going to get the progress that you want them to get, and they're not going to get
Right.
the progress that they want to get. So yeah, if you are interested, then like I say, drop me a DM and we can have a chat and see if we'll be a good fit. And hopefully I can just offer you some help and offer you some sort of valuable advice as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think that's something that a lot of fitness coaches don't talk about. You brought up a really good point, is about the compatibility. And,
Yeah.
there's an old saying, and I know this may seem a little harsh, so, please forgive me, but there's an old saying is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I think
Exactly.
that's kind of like goes with what you're saying, like you're there to help and support. And it's also about a level of comfortability as well. But you got to have just that mindset. Hey, I'm going to show up and, I'm going to try. And so I can relate to with what you're saying on that. So I think that's one thing a lot of coaches, it seems like they kind of just want to cater to everybody, which I think is okay. However, I think it has to be genuine. Like, when you say, hey, we got to have a good relationship and compatibility, and you want to help them. But I think it comes down to being genuine about wanting to help, instead of trying to have like
Yeah.
a one size fits all program, and you treat everybody like a number versus an actual human being. You're just like,
Yeah.
next, who's in line next, who's in line next, and not building
How
that
did it go?
actual connection. Yeah. So I think that's something that a lot of people don't typically talk about. So it's interesting to hear you say that. What
I
I'll
think,
do for everybody, if you are interested in contacting Lizzie, it's her Instagram is lift_with_Lizzie. I will also put her link in the description of the video. And if you have any questions for her, feel free to contact her. She's very, very sweet girl. She's treated me very kindly. I feel like I've made a friend here. And Lizzie, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a real pleasure. I feel 10 times more educated. Not only more educated, I'm actually like pumped up. Like I'm ready to go out there and start cranking out some push-ups, and
go
just
do your
getting
steps
getting
tomorrow.
busy. I'd say again.
Go do your steps.
Yeah, no. Look, it's almost 8. It's 7:37 p.m. I think I'm too late in the day now. I don't, but maybe that's my problem. See, I came up with an excuse there. I should have been like, nope, I'm gonna go get my 10,000 in.
Dog needs to walk.
No, but seriously, thank you so much, and I appreciate you staying up late with us. I know it's after 12 there for you,
Yeah,
so
21 a.m.
yeah,
We're
so
both
I
in the
thank you
morning.
so much for taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy. That was very nice of you to do that. So I'm very grateful, and I'd love to have you on again in the future. If and I think it would
Yeah.
be a great opportunity for us. And just wanted to say thank you. So thank you a whole lot for being on tonight, Lizzie. And
Thank
I'll
you for
definitely be
having
in touch
me.
with you. Okay.
Yes,
All
perfect.
right. You have a great night. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Oops, sorry about that, guys. I hit a couple of wrong buttons there. So that was Lizzie Anderson, great girl. I hope you guys enjoyed that content and got a little information from her. Definitely contact her. I would strongly urge that you guys reach out to her. She is very, very nice girl, and she's got a lot of great information. Even in just her, like even if you don't have, I shouldn't say money, but if you don't have the funds or you're not necessarily looking to hire a coach, just following her Instagram. She has a lot of great information on there that, just motivational stuff, tips. We talked about her food prepping. She has a lot of information regarding the food prepping as well. So she's got some great information. I'm actually going to bring up her Instagram page so you guys can kind of see her page here for just a second. And that way, if you're interested in following, I'll bring up her page in just a second. Um, Give me just a second. All right, so I have it here. I'll go ahead and bring it up for you guys. All right, so here's her Instagram page here. So it's lift_with_Lizzie. As you can see, balancing fitness, work, and life. Here's some of her photos, and she, as she said, she's gotten to competing. A lot of these pictures here will have a nice little story to go along with them, some tips, things like so. Here, we'll just go over this one post before we wrap up the show. But this one, it just says, it's okay if you struggle to feel motivated to exercise and to stick to your macros, and all of our lives have been turned upside down a little bit. She's referring to the coronavirus. So she, kind of just giving some tips as she goes on as to what you can do and how to encourage yourself and take the time away. So just take I would strongly suggest you follow her. She's got some great content. But just wanted to say thank you for everybody for tuning in. And Lizzie was a wonderful guest. I'm glad that we had her on the show. Thank you so much, everybody, and I hope you enjoy your night, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. We'll be live Monday at 7 p.m. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.